actually take a round from it, so it's led to some issues for the team. Overall, there's still a lot of positives playing into this stage so far for Parabellum, so let's see if they can add another one to the list of things to be positive about as they look to get a victory here versus Beast Coast. Beast Coast going to look to challenge that, of course, as we are now live with the map, already seeing the first ban going up on the board as Maverick has been removed by Parabellum, and in a second, we're going to see Beast Coast's choice to remove Knock.
Quite the interesting choice for Hard Breach ban here for the offensive side. That's going to leave Thatcher open. That's usually what you'd see inside of that slot, but I mean, not having Mav here is basically just going to force the offense to use other things, really. Obviously not going to be able to have a counter or more or less have extra counters, rather, for the defense to actually try and get rid of some of that Hard Breach utility. Also, Azami going to be removed. We've been talking about how strong she's been over these last 2 weeks, and it's going to continue on into week 3, as well as Valkyrie still on this ban train. Nook will round things out for that offensive side, by the way, but that one making a lot of sense with how many times we've seen her not only utilized but also banned in these last couple of weeks.
Azami, we're likely going to stay on that purple ban train for quite some time. Valkyrie as well, just still way too universally useful, even with the outside camera nerf that came into play a few months ago, so we're still seeing her banned out every once in a while. I will say much less so, at least in recent weeks, with Azami taking the precedence to be banned out there. So either way, that'll get us through it and into the first round of play. Parabellum have the defensive edge to start things off, and they're going to go to the initially expected site of Aviation and Games. As far as their operator lineup is concerned as well, no huge surprise in this department. You've got a pretty even spread of utility here, both in the mitigation department between Eska and Balaz, the delay department obviously on the smoke, and to some extent Penguin, and then Gunnar just having kind of his own personal freedom there on the alibi.
Yeah, this is a really good lineup for, you know, trying to hold space around the actual site and try and take some fights. You have some good ways to try and slow down the offense, not give them exactly what they want early on, also punish them for any pre-fires or anything of the sort with the Prismas. So also have that extra info coming through with the BP on Penguin. So overall, a pretty rounded off defensive lineup. For the offense, this is extremely straightforward. We're going to see Zero get worked in for BC. This is starting to become more commonplace for some teams for Villa. It's just always nice to have some extra flank utility, be able to get those cameras down and make sure that there's no one trying to sneak up behind you, which is exactly what we were talking about earlier on. Villa, quite the large map, and you always got to worry about those flanks.
Zofia alongside the Yana as well, usually one or the other, so a lot of entry power going to be showing up for Beast Coast as a result of that as well, split between Anthony as well as Sweater. Sweater, of course, going to be the go-to. We did see, of course, out in the arena, a quick little scan of the players. No Cattiers today, so we'll have to see how well he's going to be able to perform with that disadvantage being thrown against him, but still, time will tell, of course, as we get through more of these rounds and see how Beast Coast are going to be prepared to play against Parabellum. Things actually fairly quiet as far as the first minute is concerned, though. Beast Coast mainly just clearing out the opening angles, not even actually taking a whole lot of control. Nearly a misdrone there against Gunnar, but thankfully it does spin around at the last second, check him out, and force him downstairs into the living room.
Fortunately, it's not the slowest of starts for Beast Coast. They've made some solid progress, but Gunnar's now taking down Sweater, which was that lower player we just saw inside of Memorial. With him gone, Beast Coast is going to have to try and force their hand on this top floor. Now, they got to worry about some things to clear across. They'll have the laser gate as well as the player around Red Stairs to worry about. This is going to require a little heavy lifting in the info department. It's going to be Blaz on the receiving end here for Parabellum. He's got a nice cross with Kool-Aid as well. This delay tactic could work out swimmingly for them, as they do have a couple of toxic babes to be able to mitigate Slash's position right here. So Mexcaros are going to try and apply a new angle to the top of red, but you can see how prepared Parabellum are. They're ready to just back off and try and play this out on time. And in fact, Blaz is going for a very deep flank at the current moment, all the way in the basement.
Cam deployed.
BC going to be opening up a route for them to be able to move through 90. Unfortunately, it will be challenged, but Slash doesn't have much to fear. As he moves forward, there's a drone supporting his position here, so he's going to have all the intel he needs as he continues to move down the hallway. Re-cameras up the 90 angle by chucking out an additional Argus here to give them a nice preview of what's going on down towards the end, such as the bookcase wrap as well as the bar doorway. Need to be chucked through the floor, but it's way off mark, unfortunately. Not a single point of damage going against the members of Parabellum as they dodge it outright. Slash, too, going to be forced out of his push down through 90, and Blaz will also find success from the defense, being able to take down Surf, bringing the Beast Coast roster down to only 3 players left with about 30 seconds remaining.
Beast Coast have been practically boxed out of the site, and it continues to work out for PB. Bloodshed after bloodshed for the defense, and finally they'll wrap things up with a bow. They have to give over one body, but Parabellum, they're looking spicy with this opener, fending off a lot of Parabellum, or rather Beast Coast play coming in from the Masters side. It was very slow moving. They eventually try and get something going on that bottom floor, but there's too much of a Parabellum presence, and they're able to take down the lone soul of Beast Coast, who have nobody even in the same zip code as a player in Memorial. Very unfortunate circumstances. Does BC from that point on kind of just let it sit on the timer and die out?
For all intents and purposes, though, basically a perfect round for Parabellum as far as the defense is concerned there. Yeah, they lose one player at the end, but it was pretty much a done deal at that point regardless. So for me, that's nearly a flawless one coming onto the board for our defenders. They'll, of course, lock that site away and now be able to rotate over towards the other upstairs hold here inside of Trophy and Statuary before they've tried to venture downstairs either into living room or kitchen before being allowed to go back up into AVG on round number 4. Need to get that far first, though, as Beast Coast going to be looking to make their own adjustments. Obviously, not a very convincing first round, so we need to see what type of adjustments they're going to make, be able to make their impact much earlier on in the round as they struggled insanely so to do so here on the first.
Yeah, we need more of a spearhead from Beast Coast on any portion of this map. Whatever they're looking to take, they just need to be forceful with it. Parabellum had a decent amount of presence over on the Masters side, but they really wanted to fall off, and that was the big thing. If Beast Coast try and adapt to that kind of mentality and can potentially try and get some bodies in early there with the info that they gathered, then there's a large chance that they could have gotten that kill early on, and we could have seen that round break down in a completely different way. But obviously Beast Coast really wanted to stick to the windows and see if they could play the crosses there and see if they could possibly catch any of the Parabellum members off guard. But now for PB, up one round going into the second here as Beast Coast look quite similar to their start from the last round. Just want to try and work these outside angles and see if they can catch any Canadian off guard. But Surf, as well as a couple of other BC members over on the Master side now as well, as they're going to discover that all of Master is clear, as well as Bathroom. Parabellum playing back more towards the side, especially for Astronomy, as well as Statuary. No one wanting to give up anything at the moment.
Yeah, once again, Parabellum giving us a very quiet opening to their defense, which has surprised Beast Coast at least to some extent here, as they're struggling to even find the positions of the extended players from Parabellum, let alone be able to actually take them down. It's been a big problem here for Beast Coast so far in the first 2 rounds, and it's continued to be a problem now as we go deeper into the second. Going to be looking to try and clear that out, but as you can see, some of these positions are a bit trickier to read into, such as Eska playing out down below by the red stairs here, and now Penguin going to be potentially trying to get aggressive against this Master hold, as we are seeing the wall get popped open, of course.
Oh, crucial shots from Drip, and he's taken down. The first bullet out of the SMG-11 is right into Drip's skull. And Parabellum pull ahead yet again, and look at this time. They've delayed so much. Beast Coast, they have like 0 presence inside of the building except for Sweater down low. Has the potential for a kill, but the frag grenade, it's going to land on deaf ears. Fortunately enough for Kool-Aid, will be able to stay alive, but he's at a much lower deficit in HP. Start working his way towards the Astronomy stairs. Has one on the windowsill, and he'll be able to continue to delay with these smokes. No more frag grenades down low, no more depth charges available for Sweater, but it's going to be a dead Kool-Aid anyways from Bathroom.
These floor nades be working out well, considering the lack of movement from Parabellum, but no, not the case. Gunnar steals another member of the Beast Coast roster away from this assault now, and I believe stops most of the astro pressure that was being put in as well. Indeed it does. Sweater is now down to the bottom of the stairs. Does not have the confidence to play towards the top of it any further here, and Parabellum, I believe, has retaken some of the control in that area. Indeed they have, and they're going to be able to press even further into Trophy here. The push coming back up through the stairs, but the shots from Blaz just not connecting where they need to. Anthony as well with a successful entry against Eska, backed by Trophy Connector, leaves Gunnar alone with only 5 seconds left, and Case down on the ground. He could still very easily win this one. Coming down to the wire, do they have the capability to take him down? No, they don't even have an angle. He shuts down Sweater, the only player that could have planted there, and wins out the round for PB.
Very well done from Parabellum so far. Able to just really slowly burn that candle throughout the round. Beast Coast They're just stuck in the mud, all except for these dying moments where Sweater and Anthony really start to get active, but they don't have enough time to actually play out the remaining, parts of the round. No real chance to try and get the case. It's just in those dying moments where they practically have to put the case down immediately, and that's really not going to work out for them in that regard at all. So now Parabellum are going to be able to pull ahead by 2. Again, Beast Coast not really having an assertive point to push their way through the map. They're really trying to grasp a hold of the entire Parabellum strategy at once, and it seems to be seriously punishing them.
Definitely the case here. Beast Coast struggling to even get themselves any serious positioning near the site, let alone actually get the entries necessary to make that step forward here. How are they going to change it up? We'll have to wait and see, because now the play potential is going to be a little different too. Trying to work more of a top-down, as obviously we'll be on a kitchen hold this time from PB. So a little bit of a different checklist that Beast Coast need to work their way down. That also means some changes needed to come in on the defensive side, and we have seen that, most notably in the cap can, now coming out from Gunner, trying to capitalize on the fact that Beast Coast have been relatively inactive in the first 2 minutes of play, and then have suddenly gone for these executes more out of a necessity of time rather than anything else. Those are the types of situations where Capcan's EDDs are almost certainly going to find a target or two, and potentially in this case lead to a frag. Because obviously now you can stack those on top of each other to do extra damage. Gunner will strike true yet again, despite the fact that he's on the Capcan now. Makes an aggressive play forward and knocks out arguably the most impactful operator on the attacking side as Sweater goes down with the Finka.
Yeah, I'm sure any Beast Coast member would want to give up their lives for Sweater in this current moment. Kind of a get down, Mr. President situation. There's push him out of the way and take the round for him, but very unfortunate circumstances have befallen Beast Coast. Fortunately enough, they'll be able to take up Gunner, but it's really not going to do too much at the end of the day. Even if he does kill him, the EDDs are still around, and they'll still have to try and deal with that throughout the building. Explosive booby traps taped to every single door. But for Parabellum, they now just get to chill out. Really not too much for them to do at the current moment. Beast Coast are down a member, which obviously means that they have to try and get out of an engagement cleanly. And if Parabellum can continue to punish them, and they more than likely will. Oh, what a shot from Blaz. Nice recorrect there onto Slash, MVP of last week, but not MVP of round 3. So get taken down. But Parabellum, more than likely good for a lot of these challenges, which makes them very scary. That's what Joe Bro was kind of touching on. Their mechanics are truly incredible, but just try and quicken the pace at current moments. It really punishes them. But now you can see the patience. Gonna back off and then re-challenge on red. Surf will be able to clean up Blaz, but we're down past that half moment now, and they're still ahead by 1. As long as they don't get punished here again by Surf, which is very close inside of living room, this could go pretty swimmingly for the defense.
Surf has been one of the saviors for the BC roster inside of these darker times for them, so he might need to be that player again here today, as he at least trades out the 1 loss from earlier, but is not going to be able to take things any further. Eska is able to isolate him out in a separate duel, removes him from play, and puts the advantage back safely in the pocket of Parabellum by bringing the man count down to a 4 versus 2.
Well, in this 2v4 via Beast Coast perspective, Drip's going to move in, but Kool-Aid's going to kill Anthony up top. Super unfortunate circumstances for Drip at the current moment. He does have an AK-12, so it's a pretty solid ground to fight from when it comes to his gunfights, but it's going to take a lot more than that to actually win this out. He's going to fortunately get the plant down, but Gunner's worked his way in behind him. I was just looking over to our third-person pop here to see where Gunner was, and in fact, he was nailing him right in the back of the head. It's going to be 3-0 from PB, and Parabellum, or rather Beast Coast, excuse me, really got to start to consider what's happening on this offensive side.
Yeah, a bit surprising.
Very slow, very methodical gameplay that Parabellum are allowed to exploit early on, and then they just wait for Beast Coast next response. And what's their next response? Well, really not too much. They don't really go for an aggressive look or anything like that because they're so scared of losing another body and giving Parabellum even more inside of that round. And it's just a vicious cycle from that moment on where it always ends up with Parabellum on top. So they really need to right their wrongs here and see if they can start things off on the proper foot this time around. Round 4, it's a clean wash. So they're going to switch things up. Habana no longer along for the ride. Instead, it's going to be the Rotero-wielding Flores instead for Drip.
Bit of a reprieve here for Beast Coast in the fact that they're at least returning to a site that they've attacked previously. But it's a bit of a double-edged sword because Parabellum have also locked it down on the last play, so they're going to be just as strong here and looking to improve on their own game.
So quite the interesting thing, really quickly, just to touch on. There's 0 hard breach on the offense at the current moment, and I mean 0 hard breach. When it comes to AVG, hard breach isn't necessarily a necessity with how a lot of teams play it nowadays with this left panel broken, so you can get some nice, lines throughout the actual site, some good crossfires and stuff like that to work upon. But the big thing is that you can't abuse Gun Vault in the same way. And well, now Sweater with a pretty aggressive front to the bottom of main stairs, and it works out for him. This is honestly what we expected out of Beast Coast to start off this game. Not really the slow front, but I mean, it is what it is. They seemingly have soul searched and found themselves at the current moment, but we'll see if it works out.
See the second Terradra in the works its way in. Third coming in a moment also here. That one will be able to sneak its way by. Too far out of range though to deal any serious damage to Kool-Aid, so he's going to stick around here. Trying to defend this ADS more than anything. The shield up top has been lost, but he can still play into his current position and try to punish any direct entries that Beast Coast will attempt to make in the opening moments of the round. At the same time, with Beast Coast having full downstairs control, at least over here by the main lobby, they're going to be free to open up all the bottom to top angles they might need. Oh, this is such a huge play from Gunnar though. Dropping down into Art Studio, grabs Surf away. Sweater keeping things even though for Beast Coast, and in this case, in control for Beast Coast. He trades out a second frag now, eliminates a second member of the team. Let's make it 3, but Gunnar gets the better of him and goes right back over to the cross by the front door to challenge for a 3rd kill.
That's exactly what you want to see out of Blaz. The adjustment from him to come down and help out Gunnar. Fantastic communication by the defense to set up that play, and now Beast Coast. I mean, yeah, they've had some pop, but there's no sizzle to it. Need to try and work their way through this bar fire, but Gunnar with a quad kill now. Give over the reins. He's 10-0-0. Unstoppable at the current moment. It's going to take Slash, one of the old heads of Rainbow Six, to try and shut him down in this 2v1. Dude, no stun grenades to do anything in this situation either, John. No smokes for the defense, so has some time, but it's going to require so much in this situation.
When did Gunnar even rotate upstairs again?
He's teleported.
That's what I missed. I missed that phase of this round, but either way, got himself into study, lined up the double kill. Slash is just stunted right now. He doesn't even know how to approach this at the moment. He's going to play it slowly, try to rely on his drone intel first off to at least figure out where Kool-Aid is going to be playing from in the site. Gunnar is repositioned again now out to the outside of Death's door. Looks like Slash is at least read into that rotation, but the timing has to be perfect here as he moves in, and it's just not going to happen. Gunnar completes the set for the ace and single-handedly saves the round and shuts down the BC roster along the way.
All right, Barry Allen, just bring it down a little bit, okay? That was some serious speed inside of that round from Gunnar. Amazing decisions there as well. I mean, the Art Studio drop, that's not something that you exactly expect out of any team on the top floor. You can expect people to try and play in that corner and maybe play for the drop as like a safe haven, and a lot of teams will figure that out and just play for the drop instead, right? But in that situation, they really didn't have a lot of information on study, and he's able to abuse that to the fullest as they're all so focused on engaging with main stairs that even when he drops, it's still quiet, but Yana still has a frag grenade out and is cooking it for main stairs. No audio awareness in that current moment, and a huge play from Gunnar allows him to not only clean up the 2 downstairs, but the rest of Beast Coast after their timeout. That's a death nail if I've ever seen one.
So Gunnar now with over 10 kills and yet to die as of the start of the 5th round here. Continue to surge forward. An absolutely incredible game so far for PB here. They're looking to take it an inch further. The possible 5th round about to be lined up on the board if they can negotiate a second defensive trophy for themselves. And for the attack, they're also going to have to fall into some new things, specifically Surf as well, bringing the Thatcher into the fold to potentially deal with some of that utility behind the wall to allow them to open that up a bit more quickly and also allow them to get earlier pressure onto this site. That's been an area where Beast Coast have been struggling. Yeah, they've been able to eventually get positioning to leverage that type of pressure, but it's usually been far too little too late. And someone from Parabellum either lines up a flank against them by that point, or the members of Beast Coast just don't have the appropriate player power to get themselves in the site any further.
Yeah, Parabellum, for all intents and purposes, have practically fixed the exact thing that Joe Bro was talking about on the desk. They're able to make the big plays early and then slow down the gameplay and force this very grueling play style out of the offense. That is practically basically like trying to get blood from a rock. Like, it's just not going to happen. You're just going to sit there and squeeze for hours and nothing's going to come. So, I mean, for Beast Coast at the current moment, you don't really know what they're capable of. I mean, we've seen some nice engagements from Sweater, but past that, there's not really been a lot of noise from the BC roster. Parabellum, they've got some very serious map control at the current moment. East Coast, though, able to at least make some serious considerations downstairs. But what will that do here for Concrete? Is Penguin's worried about someone moving in for Master. He's going to pre-fire, but nobody's hopped in just yet. Have to worry about the rappel angles as well as the potential to have somebody try and work up one of these outside stairwells.
Beast Coast continue to play this so slowly, possibly in hopes of being able to avoid some of the earlier aggression. Bit of a misplay there from Eska as he's going to accidentally knock off the head of Penguin. The good news is Penguin hasn't really needed to contribute to this game yet. He's actually at 0-4 right now. So maybe not the end of the world for Parabellum losing him here. The main problem is going to be the lack of the Womai disc that he potentially could have generated, but he was probably close to the end of his rope on that anyway. So let's see now. Parabellum can bring it back from a 4v5, or if the deficit is going to hurt them severely, as Beast Coast now finally seem ready for their execute, but Anthony just leaves himself on the open there on the rappel. Kool-Aid making the rep for kill number 2 as well to take out Sweater. There goes the Astro play. Gunner in the meanwhile shutting down the direct contention towards the inside of Trophy Slash. Will flash out and get a second kill here inside of Astro to take down Blaz as well. Now they need to retrieve the case, though. Surf will be able to accomplish that, get himself forward as this round still alive, being brought down to a 2v2 with 20 seconds left.
Gunner's going to start to move in, sees one inside a split, gets taken down from Concrete. Is going to be Surf with 2 as well. Slash Shug, he builds it up so his teammate can knock it down. Beast Coast finally clutch up for a round here. It only took him to round 5 to be able to get one on the board, but they'll at least be able to try for a 4-2 split here and slow down PB, who have looked so dominant throughout this entire defensive side.
Great read again there from Slash to be able to catch the second player creeping up on him from the bottom of Astro. He goes down. That's more than likely Parabellum still negotiating that 4v5 victory after killing one of their own teammates. Obviously got to look back at that now and wonder how things could have potentially played out differently if Penguin had survived up until the execute, but we gotta let bygones be bygones here and try to proceed forward. Still in a 4-1 controlling position. I doubt Parabellum are sweating that loss too much as they get ready to just rerun, I believe the same site as well, to try and lock things in here on the 6th and final round of the opening half.
Yes, indeed. They'll be headed back up to Trophy and Statuary to see if they can hopefully recreate their earlier success. Not exactly as successful on that last round, but Penguin's going to shift gears here and move on over to the Kaid instead. They'll be able to Electro Claw and lock the triple wall here for Statuary. It's going to make it to where Beast Coast doesn't have as strong of crosses that could potentially punish some of the Parabellum members playing inside of sight. And also, if you remember, pretty strong beginning to that last round from BC, but Parabellum able to fight back in a very assertive manner. Unfortunately, ended up dropping the round, but for Beast Coast, signs of life at the current moment. As we were talking about before, possibility of a 4-2 split as of right now. So for Beast Coast, not too much of a change up for them. Going to continue to keep relatively the same lineup as they have. Want to slow down this play and see if they can try and catch some of the Parabellum extended play here, but they've already dropped back for the most part. Penguin working his way towards top red. Like it doesn't have anybody inside the space. Actually, Gunner will be over here towards the other side of this player. I'll be playing inside of the vault, and so will Blaz. So Penguin more or less just holding on to this middle part and seeing if he can hopefully help his teammates cross at a later date, but has to worry about obviously that huge LMG sitting on this window.
Gunner still continuing to hope for an opportunity to make impact, and he might very well get it if one of the Beast Coast members drifts a bit too far to the left on their balcony hold outside there. Penguin can continue to maintain his presence at the doorway. Surf will actually take a heck of a lot of damage. Not sure of where the source in terms of where it came from there, but might have been some of the damage being peppered out by Gunner from the other side. Either way, it leaves him at about 50% HP. Gunner with an opportunity there to take out one of his opponents, but unfortunately going to miss it. Has to fall back behind that. We're going to see this Electric Claw get knocked out. A new one will take its place. However, the Selma was right on top of it, so scratch that. It won't take its place, and the full Selma will actually end up going off because of that.
That's super unfortunate. Penguin able to land a shot on one of the drones that was circling his feet. Beast Coast starting to make some headway towards the site. Have to worry about the smoke play, but no longer. His slash will take down Kool-Aid off of the peak. That's going to be the opening kill, but there's still a minute remaining for Beast Coast to take control of this site, but they have to worry about a couple of Parabellum members off-site as well. Penguin's gunning from on-site, though, and an aggressive look here from Gunner as well. 12-1 at the current moment, a 12 and OKD. That's quickly going to get swept under the rug from Sweater. Beast Coast are starting to decimate Parabellum. They really want the 2-4 so they can take control of the defensive side on an assertive note. Drip going to try and end it all here after taking down Eska. It's going to be Penguin with one with the Nitro cell, but he's got a long road ahead of him.
Penguin going to prioritize control over the connector first to get himself into the site, not going to allow him to deny the plant. Because of that, since it's going down to the other side, already taking some damage, he can't even find the source of it. Anthony, from behind the desk inside of Trophy, going to be able to finish things off, lock in a second round from Beast Coast, exactly when it was needed as well. Things were looking bleak for the squad, but they are back in it with these slow-paced executes towards the end of the rounds for the final 2 rounds of play in the half.
So Beast Coast haven't exactly made it easy for themselves, but they've at least given themselves some breathing room, and I think that's at least something to notate for them at the current moment. The defensive side looks pretty strong as of right now, but obviously it's kind of hard to judge just with how dominant Parabellum were throughout all 4 of their rounds that they ended up picking up, and even some of the Beast Coast rounds weren't exactly amazing there. So past that, though, Parabellum now going to be on the offensive side, and this is where things could get quite interesting, and they're going to have access to a whole new arsenal of weapons that could really help them with more of the aggressive front that they were putting on with some of the early engagements from Beast Coast, but obviously they're going to be the driver of this ship this time around, the captain, you could say. So they'll be able to control the pace, and when these engagements happen, as long as they have the info to work off of, and they damn well should, as they're going to be bringing the Dokkaebi here for Penguin.
Yep, indeed. A bit of a heavier emphasis on the intel game because of that, to try and track down some of the more pesky members of Beast Coast as they'll be caught roaming around the hallways. No change from that either. It'll stick in play past the repick phase. In fact, no repicks coming out here for Parabellum. They stick everything that they had originally selected in the pick. That means we're going to have the Twitch from Blaz as well, and a few other fun things. Gunner, of course, still staying on his main operator choice here of the Finka, as you would generally expect most teams to bring to bear in the current meta. Bit of a slow roller here, though. Parabellum not trying to storm in and take a serious amount of map control right from the beginning of their play, much like with what we saw from Beast Coast. They want to take this first minute nice and slow to make sure they're able to drone things out appropriately and then swing it for the eventual control.
Yes, indeed. Parabellum circling around the north side of the building. They found Sweater inside of Trophy, and he's going to start hightailing it towards the south end with Parabellum finally making their entry around Master. There's a mute jammer in the way, but that'll get picked up from Gunner so Kool-Aid can continue his discovery through the building. Don't have much to talk about at the current moment, as it's really just the clear for PB. They want to try and get control of 90 and start progressing their way towards the top of red as well. Any pressure they can get from this back end is definitely going to be helpful, and potential to get a kill here inside of 90. Slash goes searching for this drone inside of the hallway. He's going to take a lot of damage for it, but luckily enough gets off with his life.
Gunner still moving forward, though, ready to take the challenge against Beast Coast, hoping someone swings the gun vault or pops up from behind the bar, but not going to be able to find it this early on. Still, though, in position with about 30 seconds, or rather a minute, I should say, in excess before he's forced into an execute. He reads the play coming from 90, though, after the Toxic Babe forces him off of Death's door. Hot Pink's coming in now to confirm the position of the other 2 players, but they're long gone from Beast Coast, as they do not want to move out to challenge this already set position from Gunner.
Parabellum taking their time again here with the lead-off pick. Gonna end up working their way towards the gun vault now. Gonna have some impacts out, but oh no, a frag grenade from underneath is actually gonna pick up that player. Drip's now down. Sweater picks up Blaz though, and Esko will fall, but Kool-Aid refrags onto Drip. Kool-Aid now down though, as Sweater's got himself a triple, but now another frag grenade from underneath. Gunner with 2 big kills here, and a cleanup from Penguin. They're trying to get control of the case. They know that at least one player has to be in here behind the bar, but where is the other? Well, he's actually coming up main stairs at the current moment. A push push-in play here from Penguin, but it's a nice shot here from Anthony. Not equal trades, though, back and forth, as Gunnar will finally be able to get to his teammate and assist in getting this kill. Surf now has to try and stop both of them as the plant will go down.
Surf relying on his teammate previously inside of bar, thinking that they would be able to survive, and he might be able to make a play from down below on a flank, but no longer the case. He's had to push himself back into the site now. Doesn't have great intel on where the second player has positioned themselves either. Obviously knows where the planter's gone down at. He's going to get some great damage onto them as well, but the pre-fire is a little too late against Gunnar, so he shuts it down instead, and Parabellum lock in their 5th round as they take control of the first in the second half.
Very clean offense so far, taking their time and waiting for Beast Coast to just make these very aggressive plays. There's really no other way to slice it. Slash gets super injured with that initial engagement in 90, and once they smoke off Skull Thor, he then immediately contests 90 again. I mean, I understand filling your shot for the day, but when an LMG can kill you in one bullet at your current HP, it's not exactly your world we're living in. It's definitely the other person's. So, unfortunately, circumstances for Beast Coast as they kind of just get bowled over initially. They did fight back from a site presence, though, but the big issue was too many bodies had already been lost at that current moment. So they're able to fight back to an equal point, but I mean, Parabellum are able to take control, and especially Gunnar with the way that he's been playing so far. I mean, they're just looking really, really nice at the moment in time. So we'll have to see if they can continue on this reign of terror. Beast Coast, not really with an answer, all except for the gunfights that we've been seeing from them in the dying moments of these rounds.
Parabellum just 2 to go here, and they're going to bring a very similar formula to the table for their second assault against the Beast Coast defense. Beast Coast will be bringing a little bit more mitigation this time around. They will ditch the smoke to be able to move on to a Maestro instead for Slash over there, as well as Sweater now having the confidence to go over onto the Alibi. Let's see if a bit more of an aggressive stance from this team is going to work out, at least the beginning of the round. It will. We're going to see a Nitro land right in front of Gunnar on the Finca as well, so removing one of the most influential operators from the play at the very outset of the round. That'll hurt Parabellum in the long run. We've seen them make up for deficits like this earlier on in the match, but that was on the other side, so this one might be a little bit too much to work their way back from. We'll have to see, of course. We still have 2/3 of this round to go.
Yes, indeed. Either way you put it, huge consideration here for Parabellum going into this round with the lack of Gunnar. Just how strong he's been for them throughout all of these rounds. Now for Beast Coast, nice pickup here from Drip as he challenges and able to catch at least one member off guard, but Eska will immediately refrag, although very low on HP. Penguin now starting to take some heat of his own through the drone hole. Knows one's going to cross, and funny enough, Surf actually going to make it. And now, big pickup from off of site as well, as Penguin's been down, Eska's been taken out. It's all left up to Blaz. He's got a frag grenade to be able to clear this laser gate, but that's really about it. No drones to trying to throw anything into this, and you can also see just from his teammates that everyone's just trying to watch and see what happens. No real info to play off of, so he'll be dry peeking everything and seeing if he can just try and find himself in any of the Beast Coast teammates that could actually try and take a gunfight with him, but just gonna drop down the hatch. Super unfortunate circumstances at the current moment for them, but fortunately enough for Beast Coast, they're able to try and stave off that match point as a frag grenade goes wide.
Gotta love the aggression that Beast Coast was showing earlier on in the round here, just making it so difficult for Parabellum to guess when exactly it was going to bust out against their holds, and as a result of that, left a lot of the Parabellum players guessing for correct timing and oftentimes choosing incorrectly, peeking into their own deaths, leaving this current situation alive and well with a 1v4 set before Blaz. So unfortunately, he was a little bit detached from the situation, trying to gather intel, and now he doesn't really have a choice as he's been left alone here. Gonna have to try and make the play at some point. There we go, finds at least one head. Able to take one off of Sweater there, but gonna need to hit a lot more than that, going 3 more of them, in fact, to be able to still win out this round. Looking bleak as he gets himself a bit closer to sight, just trying to pop off what he can. There's number 2. It's starting to look a bit more realistic, but Slash brings us right back into the realm of reality as Beast Coast claim the round again.
Well, Beast Coast finally getting one put together on the defensive side. It was really the amount of kills that they were able to secure on Parabellum so very early on there. We saw a lot of aggressive fights there from Parabellum that Beast Coast were able to just strongly win out. And past that, Parabellum really don't have any consideration to try and do anything with the round at that current moment. The strong master take could have really worked for them, but it was just the amount of picks that Beast Coast were able to secure because of it. A lot of different circumstances there where Beast Coast were able to pull themselves ahead simply because of that man count, and just made it extremely hard for Parabellum to try and do anything with it. So now for PB, it's back to the drawing board, but they still have quite the cushion with these 2 rounds before Beast Coast catch up, only needing 2 rounds themselves to actually win this inside of regulation. But now, switching things up for their offensive lineup. They're going to drop the Twitch, and they're going to bring in the Yana. We've been having that, but obviously they're going to need some extra hard breach here with the Habana working her way in, and IQ to try and help out with a lot of different things here. The big things being the Yokai, potentially the Legion Mines, as well as Slash being on the Pulse. Now, this is a kitchen defense. We sometimes see this when it comes to the top floor defense as well, but either way, Pulse inside of this kitchen position is extremely strong, just because of the way you can use the cardiac sensor on the top floor and see a lot of the repels going on this east side.
I've been seeing it a huge amount, at least inside of this stage. It was nice to see it brought out at least one more time here, but at the same time, with repick in play, it has opened up a window for attackers to be able to immediately counter this out with a situation like this from Penguin, where he's been able to pick into an IQ and pretty much find the immediate intel about when Slash is going to be searching for players down below there. I'm sure he's already been able to figure that out, but knows that things are currently safe, so he'll move in towards Walken with the rest of his teammates, I'm sure, just a few steps behind. You can already see him, too, trying to get into that little bit of a micro duel with Slash down below. They'll try to pepper the shots through, but he's got to do it from the pistol to obviously keep vision against Slash. So it's a bit of a crapshoot, and unfortunately is not going to be able to make any mark early on here.
Nitro cell out, but it's going to go wide for Slash. Able to do too much with it, but obviously can still play for the info that he has. Frag grenade out. Only going to do a very minuscule amount of damage to the Pulse player. Kool-Aid's going to work his way in and begin setting things up for the actual site execute. They still have a lot of time, so this is mostly him just doing this premeditated, making sure that they can work their way in when they are able to actually fully wrap around this site, start for their execute. Gunner trying to look for a pick off of the actual site. Drip taking a lot of damage. He's going to get caught off guard, I do assume, from 2 different angles here. He's going to get tagged up from another one and actually run into the LMG of Gunner. Now Surf going to take a gunfight of his own. Slash is almost going to get taken down, but unfortunately for Eska, he's going to run out of bullets in the moment.
Just not, unfortunately, able to get that one additional bullet going on the Slash that would have taken him down and given Parabellum probably a comfortable enough advantage to swing in. Look at this play from Sweater, though, building up a lot of what we were seeing out from Gunner in the first half, but he's going to be red prematurely here. They see him coming from the outside of the red connector. Still going to try and make the play. Of course, he's here, so why wouldn't he? But at the same time, his teammates inside of the site, they're going to need some help, and Sweater is going to be able to give it. He counters out the counterflank from Eska, taking him down, and now getting himself ready for a re-entry into the site as Parabellum are taking control, but Surf along with Sweater are taking it right back. Surf picks up the double. Sweater, that's a bit too bold there, as Gunner more than ready for the play inside of Bicycle. He counters it out, and Anthony now shuts down Blaz, leaving Gunner on his lonesome here to clutch out a 1v3, but very realistic clutch considering 2 factors. 1, he has the case in hand already, and 2, look at Slash and Surf's HP. It's got to find Surf before he can make it get done, though, and unfortunately Surf just cannot be contained in this round. He goes huge and locks in another one for Beast Coast.
Beast Coast are prepared for war when it comes to their defensive setups. They look so dastardly inside of these last 2 rounds, making things so difficult for the Parabellum squad, especially with these flanks that they've been able to pull off. That top floor was never safe for PB, constantly being contested over and over again, whether it be through nitro cells or actual gunfights. They eventually end up losing out because of that. Beast Coast once again able to negotiate for a pretty considerable man advantage that PB are not allowed to play back from. And I mean, for Gunner's sake, you really got to be considering how much effort he's been putting into this game so far. 18-4. The closest member of the entire team is Blaz, and he's 6-8 at the current moment. Just no one doing it quite like him.
Problem is, it creates a very top-heavy scenario here, especially on the attacking side of a game like Siege, where, as we've seen at least one time, Gunner ends up going down. The rest of the team is struggling to make the same level of impact there, so they really need to try and keep him alive. I will say, however, at least the one round where I noticed him getting picked off earlier on in it, we still saw Parabellum able to keep up a good fight and at least bring it to an end point, but still, I think we had like 2 to 3 members of Beast Coast alive, so I think that my point still has some validity here. As we get into the round and see what exactly Beast Coast, or rather Parabellum, can bring to bear here to try and finally get that 6th round onto the board.
Thought we were going to get something cheeky out of Sweater there as he was sitting in the basement awaiting the arrival of a Parabellum member. And he's actually going to get one. Penguin is at the bottom of the wine barrel at the current moment, trying to see if he could try and find anything cheeky. Oh, big peeks here.
No!
Oh, no! Penguin, you're dead, my friend. Oh, how unfortunate. Slash takes him down. Such an aggressive front from him, but it pays off in a massive way. Takes down the Jackal. Now the info game for PB has been hamstringed.
Definitely a standout game so far from Slash, by the way. The early round impact we've been seeing from him is second to none in terms of contributions towards Beast Coast here. Some really good stuff to keep the team in the fight or put them ahead right from the very beginning of the round, as we just saw there with his move inside of the basement. Gunner trying to keep up with the rotations, and Slash specifically as he finally works his way through Death's Door to get back into the site. However, as you'll notice here, Gunner unfortunately a little bit too late to be able to act upon that. As he moves himself forward, is going to be able to get himself inside. There's nothing to indicate this. So much intel bleeding over to Gunner as well. He'll catch the movement outside of Gun Vault, but is not going to be able to solidify the kill versus Drip, meaning he needs to now go back to the outside, where he'll have a safer position to maintain.
Still has 2 frag grenades, so he could end up chucking one of those towards Vault soon, but I love his positioning at the current moment. He knows that there has to be somebody playing around the top of main. He's going to find one, but you know that there's a second. Does check it. Again, that secondary utility could be extremely helpful for him at the current moment, but obviously they're going to have some utility in the way of that. And actually on second glance, no, they don't, but it's not going to matter as Gunner's going to go down. Anthony will be able to take him out. And once again, 2 big kills for the defense here on Villa. It's been the name of the game for both of these squads thus far. Sweater with a pretty cheeky one here. All the way from Study. Might be able to catch the head of the Habana, and he will. Kool-Aid goes down. That's going to be case control as well. And Beast Coast with such a strong round 10.
PB just way too slow with the follow-up there for Gunner's position. Gunner getting so much free real estate, but just 0 support while he was inside of that position, even playing his study game out there so carefully to avoid being pinched out by the numerous players from Beast Coast that were holding against him, but again, just never got bailed out of that situation, so the team now loses that advantage. They try to get it back later on in the round, but it just does not work out. Beast Coast
All they needed to do was hold 90, get somebody on the study window, and start looking for plants inside of that area so that they can actually try and use what they already have a hold of. They all have to try and challenge out the Finka. There's a lot of different ways that the defense have to try and play that out if that situation is presented to them, and it just makes it super frustrating for them. So for Parabellum, I really don't understand why the timing was so poor there, but obviously you can always go back in the VOD and try and figure it out with some of these third-person point of views, but either way, the circumstances literally look like just very unfortunate timing by the offense. It's really not in sync and able to capitalize on their lead fragger.
It's not like the team had a lack of intel either. Gunner had seen 3, if not 4 members of the opposing team, so you would think at least that PB would have had a pretty good grasp on the situation that Beast Coast were trying to throw out and would have had confidence to execute, especially considering Gunner's position, but just did not end up working out. So unfortunately they end up losing the round, at least in part because of the failure to support that position. Let's see though how they try to make up for that, as obviously Beast Coast will continue to rotate around their own sites, now back to their secondary one upstairs here as they look to take control of the trophy and statuary hold for a second time.
Well, Beast Coast is going to have a decent amount of mitigation as well as info game here with Slash back with the Evil Eyes and Maestro. EMP's in will allow the Selma charges to go down and obviously just mute jammers, so it should be a straightforward affair when it comes to getting these walls open, and it will be. Evil Eye obviously disengaged there as the EMP went to that right-hand side, so won't be able to try and slow anything down, trying to work its way through the now new opening the wall or anything, at least for a couple of seconds. So might be able to get some extra drone info in there, but obviously PB are trying to take their time and make sure that they are able to get this opening frag as they work their way in towards kitchen. There is 2 bogeys in the area, one over on Astronomy Stairs and another one near red, as it's going to be a re-challenge here from one of the SAS Ops on defense. Oh, some nice shots here from Sweater. He's actually going to knock Blaz to 50% HP. Oh, with that little burst out of the MX4 Storm.
Blaz will not be happy about that for obvious reasons here, but nothing he can really do about it. Actually, there is something he can do about it. His Gunners managed to maintain his life a little bit deeper into the round this time, so possibility we could see the Adrenal Surge come out, considering he's the only one that's taking damage. Oh, the timing for Penguin, though, as it brings him back up, as Stokes mentioned there. He went into a down state for a split second, but he was also down in the middle of the Adrenal Surge animation here. Surf just casually walking through kitchen finds at least one member of the opposing team, and is going to Toxic Babe off the push from upstairs here. Team support's rolling in as well. They've downed out at least 2 members of this assault. Penguin, though, fending off some of this aggression, keeps the hopes alive for Parabellum. Unfortunately, he's now the only one alive here in this scenario for PB. Sweater has taken down Kool-Aid and confirmed him, and as well, Penguin unfortunately missing the transition here from Surf to get to the top of Astro. Stairs means that the last kill is free also, and Beast Coast lock in another one. They've completed the comeback, and they have one opportunity to shut this down in regulation.
Oh, the mental of Parabellum has to be tattered right now. Right when you have that little inkling of, oh man, are we choking this away? That's when everything just starts to go downhill. So we could be seeing Parabellum spiral at the current moment as Beast Coast take control of this game, 6-5. Parabellum, they're not going to be switching things up too much. Penguin will be bringing back in the IQ to try and fight for kitchen control and try and fend off Slash like we saw last time, but it doesn't really matter if Parabellum can't shut down a lot of these mid-game plays that we've been seeing from the Beast Coast defense, then this round is more than likely BC's. This is very, very scary for Parabellum at the current moment, especially with the amount of just playmaking moments we've seen from Beast Coast so far on their defensive end.
Downstairs hold from BC, but they are also going to flip up. Never mind, they are not going to flip up the site. We just had the map upside down. I did not catch it. So it's going to be kitchen here for Beast Coast as they try to lock in the same rotation they went for previously. Now, they did lose one of them on the previous rotation, but that was upstairs in AVG, so not going to be relevant for this site. Parabellum has yet to win this attack here as they'll go for it for the second time, so they're going to have to hope that they've got their wits about them as they look to close out on a much-needed round to still keep their hopes of a victory alive. As you were mentioning just a moment ago, Beast Coast being able to flip this back, the odds are very much in their favor right now. It would be a huge shame for Parabellum to walk away with 0 points from this game after getting an absolutely incredible start to it back at the beginning of it.
Absolutely. Parabellum, you got to remember, they started this game off 4-0. 4-0. We currently sit a 6-5 scoreline, and I mean, really early on, I was feeling terrible for not picking Parabellum, especially with how Gunnar was playing, but it's just slowly weaned itself off.
It's also important to remember how important the points are in the current status of the league. Obviously, it's going to change again when all the other matches are played, but the winner of this game will move from either 7th or 8th place, if I saw the board correctly earlier, all the way up to 2nd. And like I said, that'll kind of revert itself, but still, that just shows you how close the league is. The trades start to roll out here. 1-1 to begin things. Surf is able to keep the contention even for Beast Coast, but at a pretty heavy cost to his own HP. So PB, to at least some extent, winning out that trade as they also are able to take down Slash, which means the info drip on the top down is now going to stop.
And they're not going to have access to the Adrenal Surges, but this is definitely a round that they can clean up. It's not detrimental just yet. Anthony going to start working his way up the stairwell. Penguin here, no refrag, obviously, so he'll skimper off so very quickly. But Sweater, he's taking his time. He's got the secondary out. It's ill-advised. This Penguin will take him down. Blaz will try and get some extra info, and it's down to the site players of Drip and Surf. Remember, Surf is on very low HP. Blaz, quite low at the current moment. They might try and reconcile with this situation and pick him up, though, as he's been frost-matted. No one's more than likely going to challenge into this, so there should just be a reset for Blaz, as there's just so much time. Beast Coast don't want to go searching just yet for PB, as they could be really, really punished by a cross that they're not suspecting.
Quick pickup there onto Blaz to save his own life, and as you said here, BC just a little bit too scared to play out this situation aggressively there, especially when you consider the time factor. Drip as well, constantly drifting out into the open. This could be dangerous for him if the timing does not work out. Flash dumps are going to land pretty strongly too, so much so that looks like Surf wants to get himself out of this scenario. They at least get a bit of a slowdown on Penguin, and the fact that he's got to take a step back to pick up a goo mine from off of him there, but Surf will grab the first. Drip gets the second. Plant now down, though. They've missed the position of it. Kool-Aid's going to be able to surprise. He swings out. He gets the first kill for free. Does he get the second as well? No, Surf will be able to deny it. And that's going to be Beast Coast completing a massive comeback down all the way from 0-4, winning it in regulation at the end of the game, 7-5 in their favor.
Through 8 rounds, Beast Coast allow but 1 to Parabellum as they clean it up. Parabellum looks so very strong when it came to their defensive end, but we get to